on the one hand, Western culture today is, for the most part, materialistic. That religion is perhaps, relatively speaking, a thing of the past. But do you mean to suggest that because we're both materialistic and optimistic, commies and capitalists are the same?
In the most general sense of the word, yes, I suppose, because we both believe that society can be perfected, we can make progress, and progress as a word really doesn't have much meaning before Darwin. So in that sense, we both believe in progress.
Well, I said infuriating because I'd like to put in a word for the cowboys. It does seem to me that in America, post-Darwinian America, social Darwinism, at least conservative social Darwinism, was not really so predominant. There were liberal Darwinians like Lester Ward and Henry George. There were later muckrakers and progressives. There were even philanthropic robber barons.
Well, yeah, I mean, about the philanthropic robber barons, people like Carnegie said, you know, liberty, inequality, survival of the fittest, is at the basis of good, competitive business. And he said, I'm going to make my money, and then I'm going to benefact the world, and P.S. I will not give it to any government to do, I'll do it. Rockefeller said, a great beautiful rose is only what it is because all the buds have been snipped away, and that kind of, the weak shall go to the wall, should be at the basis of good business. I don't believe that life was, you know, remotely as goody-goody as you're suggesting. That was a whole generation of businessmen founding their businesses in a rapidly expanding community in a country that had been founded on the basis of the least possible interference by the government. So, I mean, I think that for at least a generation, they took to it like a duck to water.
I really don't think it was all goody-goody, and I would point out that Andrew Carnegie was a Scot.
Oh, touché.
And I recognize that there were television necessities that make a good story.
That's an interesting point, actually, because George Bernard Shaw said, Darwin had the good luck to please anybody with an axe to grind. And when I saw that, I realized that I had found my way to end the program, because the trouble with Darwin is that everybody thinks they know all about Darwin, and they either disagree or agree with what they imagine the theory of evolution to be. And here was an opportunity to say, well, let me try and show the audience some surprising ways in which Darwin was misused. And that's as big a reason as any for why the program ends in that sort of triple manner.
You remind me, too, that some sort of evolutionary thought has been around, well, since the ancient Greeks, and certainly since Goethe and Erasmus Darwin and others, that the real innovation by Wallace and Darwin was a mechanism to account for evolutionary development.
Yeah, the funny thing is that it was called natural selection, and even the word selection suggests that there's some kind of purposeful thing, some decision being made there by maybe even the organism itself, that I will change to fit the environment better, when of course nothing was further from Darwin's mind. Well, relatively speaking, he regarded the thing much more accidentally than we sometimes think he did.
You don't mention Lamarck at all. And surely the reason for omitting him is related to this point.
Well, yes, I mean, the whole idea that organisms willed themselves to change. I mean, Darwin said, look, I believe there has to be some kind of cause behind it all. He did not believe in God. But he said, in detail, it appears to have no grand design, that everything seems to happen without an overall purpose. He went back and said, I'm sorry if I was too purposeful in my original book.
One thing I have to ask you is about William Buckland, who, after all, taught several of the figures who turn up subsequently, Scroat and Lyell. When he eats the mouse on toast, what is the actor actually eating?
I'm glad you asked me that. Very important question. It was made of marzipan.
Well, I'm relieved to find the answer. Not that I was thinking of eating mice on toast myself.